Need to unmute. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Lewis with the 7-Minute Life. Hello, Lori. If you will, open your chat bar, and if you hover over your image, need to unmute. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Lewis with the 7-Minute Life. Hello, Lori. If you will, open your chat bar, and if you hover over your, okay, that was YouTube Live. If you will, I want to welcome everyone. And hi, Ann Hampton, if you will, hover your mouse over my image and you will see a chat bar come up. And I want to welcome everybody here. Diane from Kansas City, I know you, Diane. Diane will be recording live after this. I'm excited. We should have quite a few people on here today. This is a topic that we're going to be getting started with the 7-Minute Life. If you're familiar with it, that's awesome. If you're not, today's the day to get started. I'm also doing something that I have never done before. I am streaming this on YouTube. So if you want to, you can also go and tell your friends to join us on YouTube. Hello, Ann Hampton from Maryland, Greg from Texas. Again, people are just joining. We are 1 minute ahead. I'm Allison Lewis, very excited today. Who else is on the call? If you will, hover your mouse over my image, click on the chat button, and you will be able to see us live. Tomorrow, we're also having a webinar on how to double your productivity, not double your productivity, how to increase your efficiency. If you'd like to have information about that, go to the 7-Minute Life. Make sure you register for our emails, and we'll be sending that out again tomorrow. I'm Allison Lewis. I'm excited. Ann, I know you've been here before. Diane, if you will, let me know that you can see me and hear me. I am broadcasting live from my living room. You can see that we have a lot of clocks in here. It's kind of a, I guess, something that I should have. Yes and yes. Hello, Greg. Hello, Jim. Oh, come on. I know there are a lot more of you on the call. There are people coming in from all over, and I will begin at about 3 minutes after. A lot of you have been on our webinars that John has been doing. They've been amazing, but I feel like there are a lot of people that don't know anything about the 7-Minute Life and our philosophy and how you can get started with it. My goal is that I'll plan to do this same class, and it may be a little different, every Monday or every other Monday, so that people can begin to understand the philosophy. If you've been coming to these webinars for a long time, I think sometimes we miss out on how to take these ideas and concepts and put them into our life. So I am very excited about being here. I just sent this out an hour and a half ago, and I'm interested to see how many people watch on YouTube. We were doing a test earlier today, and 6 people hopped on YouTube. So it was interesting. They got to see the test. I know that you're glad that you can actually see this class. We're going to be going through this fairly soon. Oh, mid-afternoon webinars like this would be helpful due to work. That's great. I'd love to have lots of comments. This is going to be interactive, and I'm going to want you to participate in the chat. I'm going to be using John Arnold's strategy by slowing down and taking time to answer questions. There are only a few things that we're going to go through today to try to get you started with the 7-Minute Life. And so I'm going to be trying to slow down and help you get started. The 7-Minute Life is a time management company. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's 2 minutes after. For those of you that know me and know what we're doing, you'll see that we have a lot of things that we do to try to help people improve their time management. I'm the author of 5 books, which has been exciting. The last one, The 7-Minute Solution, was published from Simon & Schuster, and I will say that it's incredibly exciting. I was in the New York Post last week and had a mention there. The book has come out in Chinese, Spanish, and Korean. The book is about making sure that people re-engage in life, but today we're going to be talking about how to get started using the 7-Minute Life Daily Planner, how to use repeatable processes and systems to help you make a better life, to help you have more information. Now, I really do want people to re-engage or engage in this by chatting. I want to know, let me stop sharing my screen. I want to know how many of you use a repeatable process and system that looks like this? Yes or no? How many of you use some kind of legal paper to stay in control of your time? Come on, let's see what people say. How many of you use a notebook to stay? Of course. How many of you use Post-it notes, backs of envelope, even the palm of your hand? Use Franklin Covey, love that. Of course, what else? Notebook, get used to it, not organized. So these have been the repeatable processes and systems. Okay, yeah, where everybody's confessing. I love that. These have been the repeatable processes and systems that we've relied on as adults. And the problem was this, people always say to me, well, I've got everything in my computer, but then they walk into a meeting with a notebook to take notes. And the problem with that is that these notes that you put here, you tear them out, you put them on your desk, and all of a sudden they're lost. And that's a huge problem. One of the things that you can do with repeatable processes and systems, instead of having things on a random sheet of paper, you can improve your time management by having every single thing in a book like this. We're going to talk about that, but I want people to understand that having one safe location is the key to time management and improving your productivity using systems. So here we go. We're going to get started. Always losing my notes. I'd like to start. Let me share my screen. I'm going to go to a whiteboard. I'm going to try to see if I can see the chat. I'd like to start out with finding out the problems. Let me go do this a different way. I'm going to close that. Close that. I'm going to enter a blank screen. All right. What I'd like to do is start out finding out the problems that people face in their daily productivity. So I'm going to share this again. Oops. You can tell live is always good. I'm going to come back into the class, and now I'm going to share my screen. I'd like to start by finding out what are the problems that people have. When I look at the chat, if you will, what are the problems that people have when it comes to time management? I'm going to try to write some of these things down. We're going to take our time today. What are the problems that you face when it comes to time management? Greg says changing priorities. Who else has a thought? Finishing what I start, interruptions. Again, if you're just joining us, please feel free to put your information in the chat by hovering your mouse over the screen. What else are we seeing? Overwhelm, no central place. Excellent. Going from big picture to detail. What else? Who else has a problem? Let's write, good gracious. Let's write some of these things down. All right, so we have all kinds of problems. We had priorities. And if you will, go ahead and take notes on this because we'll be coming back. Delaying the start until all the pieces, yeah, forgetting. Who else has something about this? Forgetting what you're doing. I forget my glasses all the time. Big picture to details. Interruptions. Who else has a problem with their time management? Procrastination is actually the #1 problem that we see when we do surveys. When I don't know where to start because I didn't break tasks into actionable steps. The problem with time management and this is that it actually causes us pain. We're going to be talking about that pain and then how to solve it. The 7-Minute Life is more than just a time management platform. It's a platform designed to help you solve pain. When I first started doing this, and Diane, you'll relate to this, when I first started teaching time management, I was a financial advisor for 30 years. And I understood that in order to be more productive, I needed to improve my time management. But as a financial advisor, all I wanted to do is I wanted to know what I needed to do. I wanted to know how I needed to do it. And I wanted to have a platform for how to do it faster. If you're taking notes, time management in the past was that I wanted to know what I needed to do. Those are the priorities, just stepping out and clarifying what you're going to do. And then you have to have the tools and the knowledge and the skill sets to know how you're going to do it. And then most people think, how are you going to do it faster? And that is productivity. But John Arnold talks about a concept that he calls the insanity test. Let's say that you brought your notebook in and you had a to-do list and it was all written and you were able to get everything on that to-do list completed. John's question is, would getting everything done on your to-do list have made a difference in your life? Would getting everything done on your to-do list make your life better? Improve your children's lives? Would getting everything done make your life better? So I do think productivity has a lot to do with what you need to do, how you're going to get it done, and how you're going to get it faster. But the 7-minute life is really all about doing things so that you can have more of life. Let me give you an example of that. It was about 4 years ago that I became really sick. And it didn't matter. I mean, really sick, like as I almost died. It doesn't really matter when you're in that situation of having something happen that you could accomplish a to-do list. How many of you are in some kind of circumstance right now, something that is difficult, something is hard, and you just can't find your way out? When you're in a circumstance like that, my question to you is, does getting it all done even matter? The 7-minute life is about time management. The 7-minute life and getting started with this platform is more than just getting things done. It's about getting things done so that your life can be better. So let's start. This is the to-do list that most people have. And I'm just going to give an illustration of what that might look like. Most people don't really even come into the office with some kind of to-do list that's organized. They come in with Post-it notes and pieces of paper. But let's put down some things that you need. Right off the top of your head, you realize that you need to get some milk. In fact, that's on my list for today. I also need to mail some letters. I have a training class that I'm teaching, a train the trainer class, so that people can become certified for the 7-minute life. That's on Thursday. I have to create some of the materials for that. We have a webinar tomorrow that's on efficiency. And then I need to cook dinner. And I think you can see all these things. I had 3 phone calls that I needed to have today, and I had 1 staff meeting. Now, I'm assuming that that looks similar to what you may have, or you may have other projects that you need to complete. You may have to deal with budgets at your office, marketing plans. But does this look like a typical to-do list? Part of it, and someone said it earlier, is that what we have to do is that if we got all of this done, all of it, would this have made a difference in your life? Would these things move you closer to achieving a goal that would help you in your work or help you in your life? Or are these to-dos on your to-do list? So, and here's the thing, oh, good gracious, I'm having technical issues today. Or are these things on your to-do list absolutely random? And that's a word I'd like you to write down. When you start working on your to-do list, how many things have you actually stepped out of the noise, and how many things are on your to-do list on some random Post-it note that are meaningless, but they're just things that swirl in your head. This is becoming one of our most important pieces. It's called the choke point. Even if you've heard this before, I want you to begin to tell your friends about this. The choke point is one of those things, and after this, I'm going to stop and take some questions. But let's say that you have 15 things on your to-do list, which is pretty common. If you have 15 things on your to-do list, you have all day to get them done. You think, I can do 15 things, it won't be a problem. So here's where the 7-minute life comes in. If you have 15 things on your to-do list and you're not able to get them done, guess what? When you don't get them done, you feel pain, you feel frozen, you feel stuck, and it becomes an emotional burden. But what we want to do is help you realize there is no way possible you can get 15 things done. And why? Let's not look at it as a number. Let's look like it as an image. And I see someone only commits to 6, Greg. I love that. But my guess is there are a lot of you on this that have a lot more than 6. But let me visualize this for you. If you have 15 things on your to-do list, let me draw that out. 1 to do, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'd like to stop right there and ask you, what does it feel like to see all these things on your to-do list? And then we're going to come back. If you will, enter the chat and tell me, is this a reality in your life? Do you feel at the end of the day that you hit this choke point? Drinking out of a fire hose, like pulling my hair out. Some days, yes. Who else has a thought? Yes, I'm choking every day. Every day. We're getting a lot of people that agree with this. So my question back to you is, how do you solve this? What do you see in your life right now that's a solution for this? Let's just have a conversation. How are you solving outside the 7-minute life? How are you solving this problem of living in the choke point? Ann says, I'm at a dead stop because of the choke point. Jim says, divide and conquer. You know, that is absolutely true. Jim, are you pretty organized? Are you able to do that? Because my guess is Greg and Jim are the two that really do this well. He tries to delegate 11-hour work days. So this is a problem, but these are just the 15 things on your to-do list. What happens when you have a phone call come in? What happens when those text messages come in, or your mom gets sick, or you get called out of the house or the office, or all of a sudden you need to go buy the dry cleaner, or you go get the milk and you realize, oh, I forgot to get the dry cleaning. I forgot to pick up this. This is all in one day. What about the text messages? Just eating all of these things until all of a sudden you now have nothing left in you. And that's when you reach the choke point. And when we reach that choke point, all of these things that we've said were important, these 15 things that we were going to commit to getting done, there is no possible way. So Diane says, try to assess whether the task crowds out the priority. Now I want to know, in this, when you have all this, how many of you really do struggle with distraction? Distraction and procrastination are two of the biggest problems in time management. As you're looking at this, how many people deal with distraction? Marcia, I see that you say yes. Michelle, yes. Elizabeth, yes. Let me give you a visual illustration about what distraction is. Now, distraction happens all the time. I'm filming this live. You can see that all these things are around you, even as you're squirrel. I love that. Even as you are watching this, there are distractions all around you. When I was looking at words and definitions about how we could make distractions visual, one of our ministers at our church says, here's what distraction is. Here's the definition of distraction. He said that it was an ancient form of torture an ancient form of torture, that the torturers would take your left hand and they would tie it to a horse. They would take your right hand and tie it to another horse. They would take your left leg and tie it to a third horse. They would take your right leg and tie it to a fourth horse. I think you can get that image. They're tied up. Then the torturers would slap the back of the horses, and the horses would distract you. Now think about that for a minute. How many of us in this world are living like this? We're pulled with our family, we're pulled with our job, we're pulled with our financial situations or our relationships. We're pulled by committee work, we're pulled by cleaning our house and doing the laundry and getting the groceries. We're just pulled. How many of you feel like that? Pulled with health problems, pulled, yes, when studying. How many of you feel this pain of this distraction pulling you? Because I'm going to come back. Elizabeth says, yes. You know, all of these things, but imagine yourself standing with four horses pulling you in all four directions. If you can visualize yourself like this, it is impossible to take even a single step forward. When you're pulled and distracted, imagine literally being distracted, pulled as far as you can. If you're distracted because you're just strung up, you can't move forward. That's what this choke point does, is it puts us at a place where we get right here and we can't take a single step forward. We have choked in the choke point. We are frozen, we're stuck. And what happens is it doesn't end here. Time management is about coming in with, let's say, one task, the most important task, and moving it from the start of the day to the end of the day, where you can completely finish the task and get it to a point where you can say, I am done with this task. I can mark it off my checklist. That's what time management is. But the problem is when you come in even with 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 things, if you don't get these things done today, the choke point gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because the things that you didn't get done today that you weren't able to accomplish are going to roll into tomorrow and roll into tomorrow and roll into tomorrow. The big problem is it's not just a day that's rolled over. It's not just a week. It's not just a closet that needs to be cleaned. It's not just a garage that needs to be cleaned out. It's like our entire world needs to get out of this choke point, because for years we've let things come into a choke point. So we don't get to do those tasks. Who will do them? We're going to come back and talk about that in another class. This is just an introduction. And I think it's always good to hear, because there are very few things that we're going to talk about. I want to know if you feel the pain of this. You know, the 7-minute life was not just built to help people get more done. You can see this. And when you hit this choke point, there's no place that you can go. What we're looking for is to take a task, to push it all the way through and get to a point where we have an outcome so that it's done. But that outcome moves us forward always. It's understanding where we want to go, and it's moving us forward. This is one of the most important parts of the 7-minute life. We tell people they have to prioritize what is most important for them. They then have to organize it, and finally they have to simplify it down to one thing. And here's the one thing that they have to do. They have to simplify every task. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, is how, let me get rid of this live. This is how we're going to help you do that. Time management for our standpoint. It doesn't matter if you come in with 5 or 15 things. We want to help you create a reality check so that you're not living in that choke point. This is the only way that time management will change. When you have something on your to-do list, there is always a starting point and an ending point, or a finish. The 7-minute life understands that we're really good at starting things. I have lots of creative ideas. I want to make sure that I can use those creative things, but I tend to start something, but I rarely get something finished. If you don't finish a specific task, here's what happens. Let's say that you have a very small thing to do. For example, today I need to put some information from our Train the Trainer class into a platform called Teachable. It won't take me more than 20 minutes to get that task done. I've had it on my list all day. In fact, when something's on my list, it swirls through my head, and I call it mental clutter. I know I need to do it, but for some reason I don't do it. It's just crazy. So here's what's going to happen as soon as I get off this webinar. I've known all day that I need to start this task, and I actually like doing it. I like doing it. But once I get started, I'll begin to move through this task, which I like doing, and I'll be interrupted or distracted, and I'll be at this point. After the distraction, I come back, and what happens is you can't pick back up here. You have to come back to this point even to remember where you were. So you end up back here, moving forward again. All of a sudden, a text message comes on. You get stuck here, and guess what? You can't remember, you're still going backwards. And then I get to places where I might be 98% done, but I never, ever finish these last 2%. I'd like to stop there and have you come back and tell me some things that you're seeing or what you're thinking. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen. What do you feel? Diane, I see that you're saying I've spent more time being upset with myself for not getting something done that it would have taken to get it done. Me too. I mean, I look at things. Greg, you've said, aha, what do you mean by that? What do you mean when you're just trying to get something done? We call it the 1 yard line. Ann says, turn off your phone, close your door, and tell everyone to go away. That's actually really good advice. But I want to share that starting and finishing. Think of football. I actually love college football. I'm here in town with the Arkansas State University Red Wolves. And when I see, or even on big games, you know, there was a lot of football on at Thanksgiving and at Christmas. Think about the team that catches the ball in their own end zone. And over a period of time, they run the ball all the way through the field until they get to that 99 yard line. They go from 50 down into their opponents, and now they're on the 1 yard line. I'm constantly amazed that here's a group over a period of time, humongous guys that have gotten the ball within 36 inches of scoring a touchdown. They have a first down, and they go with the ball, and they make it, and they don't even move. And so now second down, again, the defense is tough, and now they might be moved backwards a little bit. And at that point, I'm like, dude, just lean over, you know, get into the touchdown zone. On the third down, they can't go anywhere. And on the fourth down, they have to settle for a field goal. The 99 yard line is where most people live. Time management does not live on the 99 yard line. Time management is never done. You are never productive until that last little task is done. So let's talk about that. Ann says that happens all the time, having to go back and restart. It's like you keep getting a penalty every time you get interrupted. Great illustration, but I know that is true. I know it's true. It happens to all of us. And what's crazy about it is that you can be almost through with something and you get a text message. And when you get that text message, a project you were working on that was really important to you, all of a sudden this text message, you are right here. The text message, it pulls you out of the office, takes you literally to an appointment. You come back to your office and you have forgotten completely about this thing that you were working on. It doesn't even show up on your radar. All of a sudden now 2 weeks have passed and you realize that you didn't get whatever this was delivered. And I mean that specifically. A text message could stop you right here. So what is the 7-minute life and how is it supposed to help you? The 7-minute life is all about getting things done. We cannot ignore the fact that we're going to be distracted. We cannot assume that we're not going to have 15 things on our to-do list. Life continues to be a reality. But I think what we can do is we can spread some time into what we think is most important. So let's look at the philosophy of where 7 minutes comes from. It originally began because of research that I was doing on the human attention span. And research now shows that the average person has an attention span of somewhere between 2 seconds and 20 minutes. If you go to Wikipedia and type in how long is your attention span, it's going to come up and say 2 seconds to 20 minutes. It wasn't long ago that I was looking for my glasses, and I do this all the time. I'll have them on the top of my head, and I'll look forever and can't find them. But the day I was looking for them, I was wearing them. I had my glasses on my face, and I spent about 5 minutes looking for my glasses. Now that's crazy. And I love that. I'm glad it's not just me. Greg says 20 minutes, Pomodoro. That's something that we need to have an entire class on. But where does the 7-minute life come into play? And I think it's critical that we come into the understanding of why 7 minutes. Let me get this computer going. Why 7 minutes? It has to do with attention. When I was first doing this, there was a Lloyd's of London, because of the insurance. Lloyd's of London said that the average person has a 12-second attention span. And they were looking at that because they wanted to see what the lack of attention had to do with home accidents. That has now gone down to 5.5 seconds. The average movie has an edit every 3 seconds. And they say that goldfish have an attention span of 9 seconds. You know, there are just so many times I think, how short is our attention span? When I look at this, I know that my attention span is not a reliable place to plan my time management. We cannot, as humans, pay attention at all. I mean, we're going to get the text messages. We're going to be distracted. If we know that, then trying to use our memory to remember to do things is a terrible resource. How many times have you said, I'm going to go get this out of the office, literally, and by the time you walk out of your office, you can't even remember what you were going to get, so you have to walk back into your office to remember what you were going to get. That's just how unreliable our memory is. But we rely on our memory all day, every day. You know, why would we even try to do that? We've got to have a safe capture tool, is what it's called. We have to have a safe capture tool. It needs to be in one location. And it needs to be very easy to use, because if it's not easy to use, you're not going to do it. Unfortunately, these are the capture tools that people use. These are the capture tools. We have random sheets of paper. Often we'll tear something off, or no, I've got to make another note. I'll tie it to something. I'll put it somewhere. How does this work? It doesn't work. And so I'd like you to put in to chat, do you rely on your memory? Do you realize that attention is not going to change? If our attention can't change, then something else has to change. That's what the 7-minute life is. Let me see what you come up with. I'm going to pause. How many of you struggle with relying on your memory rather than having something in a written format? I know that this was the problem. Elizabeth says, no, I do not rely on my memory because when I do, I forget. This is, Virginia says, I make lists on my phone. Jim says, no, I have to log it either on paper or electronic. Marcia says, make lists on pieces of paper. Eddie says he moved to a journal but has no system. Diana, have to write it down or it's easy to forget, usually the most important item or task. And Michelle loved that. I forgot to bring a notebook to take notes. Greg, try to schedule on a calendar. So I have to write it down, lose my lists all the time. Hey, Colin, I see you in here. Ann Hampton says, memory and a capture tool that's broken. My electronic capture tool is better than paper, but it does not end up in the usual place. I'm going to go back to what Diane said. We write things down on our to-do list because we don't want to forget. I have to log back into these things. When we create our, when we create our to-do list, the problem is that we're writing things down because we don't want to forget them. When we put something down on a to-do list, it has no meaning or importance. We just a lot of times don't want to forget to do it. So it might be something like, don't forget to move the mascara, which is something I did. I had 2 mascaras in my, what is it called? Makeup bag. Don't forget to move the mascara. I had to figure out which one was old, which one was new. I had to write it down, but that is not moving me forward towards where I want to go. So what's the importance of having a safe capture tool? If we can't rely on memory, and we definitely can't rely on our attention span, then we have to rely on something that is permanent, that cannot be lost. This is why I created the 7-Minute Life Daily Planner. Every day, I take 7 minutes of my day to think through what I want to do. And we're going to come back to this 5 before 11. This is the one tool that has changed everything. And I will tell you, if you will create a list that matters, that's when your time management is going to change. Let me come in to why we exist and why when I talk to people about what we do, I know it matters. I know it matters. So here's the philosophy of the 7-Minute Life. There are 24 hours in a day. That is all we have. Remember those 15 things that we talked about that came into your life? These 15 things that are there on your to-do list. One of the things, and I don't care if you've heard this once or twice, one of the things we have to understand is that today I had an unexpected 1-hour phone call. It was a business phone call, but my day was already full. When this 1-hour phone call came in that I loved, it automatically kicked 1 hour of something else out. We forget that 24 hours is it's a finite container. Somehow we think we'll have more time. In fact, when we have a full day, we're constantly saying to ourselves, oh, I just need to do one more thing. And as soon as you do that, you think, oh, that triggers something. Oh, I need to do one more thing. And what happens is the problem, you're doing low value activities when you say, let me do that one more thing, rather than creating a high value list of things that will take you to where you want to go. This is the key of everything. It's not the one more thing. It's not just writing something down. It's putting something in your day that is important. So why 24 hours? That breaks down to 1,440 minutes. The key to what we teach is that we're going to ask you to make a commitment. That's the word I want you to write down. A commitment to take 1% of your life to plan the other 99%. What would happen if you would take 1% of your time to think, to plan, in my faith, I would say to pray, to decide, and to narrow down what you're going to do, and then to write it in a single capture tool. When we write something down, we seem to have a bigger commitment to it, unless it's on a scrap of paper that means nothing to us. If we have something that we value as a capture tool, we are much more likely to find it, to use it. Yeah, skin in the game, absolutely. I want to have one place. The other thing about using a tool, and I've been using this for about, 12 years, is that the more familiar you get with something, the faster you're able to do it. Rather than looking for your to-do list, I know everything's here. In fact, I hate forgetting my cell phone and leaving it at home, but I'll go back to get my planner because I need to know what I want to do. And this is where we're getting close to really wrapping up the concepts, because I want to spend a lot of time on this 7 minutes. If you were to choose to take 1% of your time a day, that's 14 minutes. 14 minutes out of your day. But we break that down into something more tangible. We're going to ask you to take 7 minutes of your time in the evening and 7 minutes of your time in the morning. And this is where people have a hard time. So I'm going to start with, let me go back. I'm going to start by cleaning this out. If you're going to use this platform, you can't overstructure your day. Let me grab mine. You cannot overstructure your day. There's a part of us that wants to believe that we can do more than we can. So I've created for me, and you can use it too, an actual 15-minute increment tracking worksheet. That's what we're going to be teaching tomorrow. But what happens when you come into your day and you have no plan? Here's what happens is that you just sit in the shower and you have all these things going through your mind. You're trying to rely on your memory. So you're relying on your memory to say, I've got that project that's due on Friday and it's Tuesday. What happens is that every time you sit down and see the file folder that's for the project that's due on Friday, your brain starts swirling with ideas, and whatever you need to do at that moment gets kicked out. Over the time between Tuesday and Friday, my guess is you're going to think about that over 1,000 times. And because you're thinking about something else, because it's not in a safe location, it's not someplace that you can go back and say, yes, it's on my list and I'll get it done. How does this theory make sense? How does it make a difference? What if you could decide to take your 7 minutes to create a to-do list, to literally just take out a piece of paper. A lot of times I'll use this back second half of the page, and to create a to-do list. Okay, I'm just going to brainstorm and say, here are the things that I need to get done. And after I've brainstormed about all the potential things I could do tomorrow, I'll prioritize those things and I'll say, this is one that has got to be done. I've got to get this one done. I need to get this one completed. I need to get this one completed. And I need to get this one completed. After that, I take a reality check. Out of all these things that could be done, I want to know what will be done. What will make me understand that these 5 things are going to move me forward toward a goal? I think that's part of the problem. We work on to-dos, but we have no idea of where they're leading us. We don't have the 3-month goal out here of the project that we're trying to complete. All we're doing is focusing on that swirling mental chaos that goes through our mind. And I know that because we'll have projects that people want to do. We'll have books that people want to write. We'll have garages that people want to get cleaned out. But until they've said, I want to write the book, and the day that it comes out, that's my goal. Or if we want to clean out our garage and they say, the day my garage is clean, I'm done. The problem with most things is that we never get to a point that we're done with anything, because even if we have this 3-month goal that we're going to accomplish, we've said it, we've written it down. The problem is the next day you wake up and literally a text message wipes out the memory that you have of something important that you wanted to do. Because this text message could be from your boss that says, no, I want you to work on this project. And all of a sudden now you've got this 3-month project, but it never gets done because it's so big. 2 things that have to happen with time management. 1, you have to clearly know what you need to accomplish. Between the start and the finish, what does that major goal look like? And then on a daily basis, what do these tasks look like? I've written them all down. In the 7 minutes in the evening, I've written down all the tasks. I've used this part of the planner to write down everything that I may need to do. Second, I've prioritized. I've said I need to do this one. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to be doing this one. As you get to know how to do the 7-minute life, it will pop out at you as you're looking at these tasks. You've taken that time to write them down. It's going to stand out at you if you say, these are the 5 most important things. And you realize that, yes, they're important, but they are not moving you forward. They are not taking you toward any goal at all. They're just important on that day. I would like to stop there for just a minute and see if anybody else has that. They create a to-do list of things that they think are important. They prioritize them, but even if they got those tasks done, it doesn't move you toward completing the goal. Let me just pause there and see what you think about that. I do want to welcome everyone from YouTube. It's exciting to be streaming live to YouTube. If you are new, we're at the 7-Minute Life, and I'm Allison Lewis. We're talking about having tasks that you think are important, that you even get finished, but they don't move you forward. So I'm going to go ahead. But what if in that 7 minutes at night, you decided to think through, you looked at your goal, you understood where you wanted to be, you decided, let me clear this off. You decided, yes, these things are important. You've looked at it 7 minutes in the evening. You look at the goals that you've created, short-term, long-term. You look at that 3-month goal and you say, here's where I want to be. I want to finish the book. I want to clean out the garage. You have to have some finish line. In other words, you can't land on the 99-yard line and not know if you're finished or not finished. You have to have a goal. But where most people miss out, and this is really important, is when you can ask yourself, what is my goal for tomorrow? I can't spell. What is my goal for tomorrow? Have you ever sat down and said, here's my starting point, whatever time I get up, here's my ending point when I go to bed, and say, what is my goal for tomorrow? How will I know when I've gotten to enough? How will I know that I've moved forward toward a goal that was meaningful, that had high value activities, and that also made a difference in your life? You know, I look at this and I'm teaching these classes to people. I can't see you, I can't hear you, but I know that these things are important. My guess is you haven't taken the time to create long-term goals for maybe 3 months out. Do you know what you want to look like, who you want to be 3 months from now? Are you going to exercise? Is your house going to be cleaned up? Will you have cleaned off your desk? Will you clearly, crystal clear, know what you need to accomplish at your office? Will you have communicating with your team? Will they know what they need to do? How many times is someone doing something and you're doing the exact same thing and you're wondering why nothing happens? Okay, so we've taken that 7 minutes in the morning and 7 minutes in the evening. You've prioritized those things. You've said, here are the 5 things. You've slowed down long enough to know that these are high value activities. They're high value activities that I can start and finish. I can take number 1, I can get it, and I can finish it. When you do that, when you get to a start and end point, it does not end up in your choke point. It never even goes into your choke point. It has been completed. It doesn't end up here. Imagine the freedom of not having things come into your choke point because they're completed. I mean, completely completed. I'm getting a question about a high value activity. Let me just give you a real example of something I'm doing. I am training a Train the Trainer class so that people can become certified coaches with the 7-minute life. This is an enormous undertaking. You know, trying to take this information and break it down into small enough pieces that people can understand it and then take it back to their jobs back to their churches, back to their families, and to be certified so that they can use our materials. Well, this is an enormous project because it's 7 weeks of material. It's 2 hours per class. I have to create the content. What do I want them to learn? I have to create the PowerPoint slides, the handouts, the videos. I have to create the certifications. I have to create all of that. Well, the high value activities, these things move me toward the goal of accomplishing this train the trainer. All of these things. The low value, these are very high value things, and I'll come back and talk about that. Low value things would be me planning for a long time, looking at other people's train the trainer classes, trying to do research on what the best thing is, calling my friends, and there's someone on here that I've been talking to. So calling people and saying, what's your opinion? What's your opinion? We do that because we want to research what we need to do, research, rather than do it. Don't you find that? We want to get things, it's more fun to research, which is low value. It's more fun to plan, which is low value, and it's more fun to call your friends. The high value is creating the content, writing it, designing the PowerPoints, creating the handouts, delivering the videos, and coming up with the certifications. The problem with these things is that they are not high value activities, they are high value projects. I cannot walk into the office and say, hey, I'm going to create a PowerPoint slide in 20 minutes. And we'll come back to that in just a minute. But can you see that these high value activities or high value projects are moving me forward to an end goal? So how does that happen? As we look at the 7-minute life, you've taken your 7 minutes, you've prioritized the 5 things you're going to do. You've thought about them. They are all high value activities. And you've broken them down into those 20-minute segments because that's how long our attention span is. You've written those things down. So for today, I'm going to be looking at the outcome that I want to have for Thursday night. For the Train the Trainer class, I want to do that. I just want to look and see what I want. And then I'm going to create a table of contents. For me, I'm going to create a table of contents or an outline. So I have these humongous things. When I look at what it is, that might take me 5 minutes. When I have a table of contents or an outline, that may take 20 minutes. But I also may have things like I need to design, design something, and that may take an hour and a half. If that's the case, I can't do this. I have to break it down into things I can complete. Now, as I go back, here's the final thing on 5 before 11. The 7-minute life comes to place because people want to improve their time management. They want to be more productive. They want to be efficient, which is what we're going to be talking about at tomorrow's webinar. They want all these things in their life. So if you look at this, time management is something that is backward looking. You will never know if your time management was good or bad until you look backwards and see if it was good or bad. If you're going to be productive, you can plan. You can plan all you want, which is part of what we want people to do. We want you to take those 7 minutes and we want you to plan. But here's the key. When you become efficient, the word efficient actually means to take action. There is no time management without action. There's no productivity without action. There's no efficiency. Everything we talk about in the 7-minute life is what are the 5 things you are going to choose to take action on tomorrow. And I don't mean things that you said, okay, this is on my to-do list. I need to get the mascara out of my purse. What are the 5 high value activities that are going to move you forward so that not only can you be moving forward your 90-day goal, but you can also ask, what is my goal for tomorrow? That's a powerful question. When was the last time that you woke up and you had a piece of paper in your hand that said, here's my goal. Here are the 5 things that I will commit to accomplish. Now, where's the power in all this? The power in this is that if you have completed, started, and finished 5 tiny tasks, and we call those micro actions, that were important, that were written down, if you accomplish these 5 things, we call that our 5 before 11, taking a plan, writing down the 5 things that you're going to commit to accomplish and accomplish them before 11 a.m. was the original idea. But now I find out this 5 before 11 a.m. or p.m. But this is really just a thought. It's not necessarily true, but it's so catchy. What if you could accomplish 5 things before 11 a.m.? 5 important things that answer your goal for today, that answer your goal for long term. 5 things in a week. If you accomplish 5 things in a week, 5 times 7 positive activities, in the next 7 days, if you're watching this, you'd accomplish 35, and here's the key, high value activities. Now, we got a question, what do you do with the other ones? The other ones on your list can become choke points, but what you want to do is make sure that the things that are at the top of your list are the highest value, because you're going to get distracted and you can't do 15 things. Some days I can only do 2 things because my day is already full. Some days I can only do 1 thing. But if I hadn't stopped and thought about what I was going to do, if I hadn't made that conscious decision to say, okay, let me step back and say, here's my goal. Here's my long-term goal. But what can I do tomorrow that can move me forward? What is my goal for tomorrow? Take that again a little bit farther. The 7-minute life is built on a 90-day platform. If you were to accomplish 5 high-value, tiny steps over the next 90 days, 90 days times 5, 5 before 11, you would have taken 450 steps forward in your goal setting. How many of us actually have a plan of action, going back, where we have simplified things so that we can work within our own attention span of somewhere between 2 seconds and 20 minutes. We've broken down our concepts into the smallest denominator. We get to a point that we can, let me see if I can move this in, that we know if our micro actions are small enough, we can start them and finish them. It is only at this finish point that we get to a place called done. We will never have efficient time management. We will never be productive. We will never get anything until we get to done. That's the real key. We want you to take 7 minutes in the evening to think about what you're going to do, to create those priorities, to write down high and low value tasks. But after you've written down all the things you brainstormed, then you look at this list and say, okay, this one's going to move me forward and it's less than 20 minutes. This one's going to move me forward. This one, and you commit to doing that. And why this is important? Having the planner is important because now you've written all those down in one safe location. You're not looking for your written plan of action on scraps of paper or Post-it notes. You've put what is most important into one easy to find, safe location. So the 7-minute life, we've got about 3 minutes left. The 7-minute life was created because I needed a tool that I could simply use as my kind of overall catch-all. I needed to have one place that I could put my to-do list in. I needed to have one place that I could prioritize those things and say, I'm going to commit to accomplishing these things. Each night, I step out of the noise. I take 7 minutes. I write down everything that I need to do. Out of that to-do list, I then prioritize what's most important. If something's going to take longer than 20 minutes, I have to break that from a project into a micro action. I want to close with this, and then I'm going to open it up to questions. This is the big problem. For years, we've tried to use to-do lists by themselves. You do have to know what you need to do. We've never understood that we have to have a starting point and a finishing point to be able to accomplish something. We've never really understood that we need longer goals so that each one of these can move us forward. Because let me tell you what it feels like. When you walk out of your office having accomplished 3 things, 2 things, 5 things, it feels great. Those things are not even going into the choke point. When we finish something, we've done what we said we would do. And they're important and they're moving us forward. And we see that happen. What happens for most of us is that we have lived in a place where we've used time management skills that are familiar. We've used notepads that are familiar. We've used apps that are familiar. We've used Post-it notes. But we've come into a place where we use the same tools over and over again. This is called a cow path. Anything in life that we've done, we choose to focus on the familiar rather than choosing to learn a new process. The 7-minute life is all about repeatable processes. But rather than use repeatable processes, we will continue to use Post-it notes and stay on this same cow path year after year, month after month, and day after day, even though we know it's not working. The 7-minute life is about creating repeatable processes and systems so that you have one location to put things, one place so you don't get lost. This is the 5 before 11. It's very simple to use. This one thing is worth getting the planner. Now, I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to leave this up. The 7-minute life daily planner, you can get it on our store, but the easiest way to order your copy is just to go to Amazon and say, okay, I want to get a 7-minute life daily planner. I'm not quite sure what they cost, but most of us have one click. Use this. We teach webinars every Tuesday. We're going to be teaching this same class or something similar where we focus on one thing. So I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to ask for any questions. I want to take the last 30 minutes to answer any questions, or if we have things that people want to talk about. If you have questions about the planner or questions about anything. The rest of to-do list, does it go after 11 o'clock? Really, it goes wherever. All I want to do is make sure I'm committing to the 5 before 11. And even though I may want to get them done first, a lot of times, and that's a whole nother webinar, we're waiting on someone else to bring us something before we can move forward. But you really need to plan those 5 before 11 on things that you can do. The only thing that makes us productive is action. It's changing our behaviors. It's taking those things forward. So, Virginia, yes, you can do things on the weekend. I'm getting better about not doing everything. How do you carry uncompleted tasks over the next day? Great question. I do it all the time. What I do is that and that's why this safe location is really critical. I can come back and look backwards. In fact, like I said, I have these for 10 years. Instead of having to dig up and look on my desk for file folders, I can look back and say, okay, what are the things that I did not accomplish yesterday? And which of them weren't really important? And which ones do I need to roll forward? But there's another place, because you don't want to just keep rolling forward and forward. I think that's where the reality check comes in. We seem to think we can do so many things, but in the planner also is a worksheet called Unfinished Tasks at Work. What I'd rather do is create these 90-day goals of things that you want to do in the next 90 days, and then schedule each one of these out. Which one of these is a priority? And rather than having to focus on 20 unfinished tasks in your life, choose 1 or 2 and say, okay, I'm going to focus on getting this done. And I'm going to make sure that these uncompleted tasks, these unfinished tasks, over time, I can review them and I can say, oop, I'm on the 99-yard line here. I need to finish that. What's that one last thing? And so I don't mark them off here until they are completely finished. But I always have these things in an order. So if I don't get it done this quarter, these are 90-day platforms, I can always go back. And we get a question all the time about, Allison, why do you use handwriting? We actually have an app, but I tend to use handwriting because Dawson Trotman said, my thoughts disentangle themselves when they pass through my fingertips. My thoughts disentangle themselves when they pass through my fingertips. The human brain has so many things swirling, so many things. But when you are writing, you're using your brain, you're using your eyes, and you're using your physical modalities. You're doing all of these things, 3 things. When you just, instead of letting things swirl in your mind, when you bring them up to that conscious level where you've said, okay, this is one of the things I'm going to do, you all of a sudden look at the piece of paper that you're going to write it on. So you're seeing it, and then you physically write it down. Each time you use these 3 senses, you become more aware of what it's going to take to have projects completed. You think through things with a pencil or a piece of paper and a pen. That's why the 7-minute life, I think, is so powerful, is that you get to write these things down and put them on a piece of paper. And, I look at my own life and I think, how many pieces of paper did I have? Not a lot. I really don't. This was actually my to-do list from last night. I sat down and I created a lot of things. There are like 20 things on this list. I know that I can't get all that done. So I had to prioritize them. I had to move them over. And so here was what I had today. These were the 5 high-value pieces, and I've done 4 of them. And out beside it, you can see that when I wrote it down, I said, okay, this is going to take 5 minutes. This is going to take 10 minutes. And so I wrote all those things down, and then I was able to mark them off. So even when I use my 5 before 11, I make sure that these are things in small enough increments that I can make them go away. And the things on this list can't fall into my choke point. They don't even exist because they never made it into that as an unfinished task. So that's a great question. The key for me is the repeatable processes and systems. And I have a lot of people use this. That's why people are coming into the Train the Trainer, is that they use these tools. They already have these lists. But what they don't have is they don't have a system where every day they can use whatever piece of paper they want to write down their to-do list, 7 minutes in the evening. And you'd be surprised at how long 7 minutes is. Taking 7 minutes in the evening to write things down, prioritize them, write down how long they're going to take, put them on your 5 before 11 list, commit to accomplishing them, and then just do them. 5 things before 11 o'clock times a week, 35 high value activities. If you did this for 90 days, you would have accomplished 450 activities. I really would like, there's still a lot of people on the call. We've got several minutes more. What are your questions about the 7-minute life or the daily planner? What are the things that you want to know more about? Diane, you said you love the planner. Why? What are the things that you love about it? And why are these things important? And I'll say there are days that we don't get this, but it becomes days rather than months. So many people buy the planner and they don't really know how to use it. What are the questions? Mark, I see, how do you carry over to the next day? I think we've talked about that. And I have to be really careful. If there are 3 things from yesterday, I probably only need to have 2 things on today and then those 3 things. I can't get farther and farther behind. What other questions do people have? While you're writing those things down, I'm going to go back just a bit. Okay, capturing everything in the planner makes it easy for me to quickly remind myself what my priorities are, and I can quickly see what I've accomplished. And that's really encouraging. That's a great point. The planner is very different. When you look in the front of it, this is what I call the power of the check mark. Most people, I don't think, can get things done. And when I go through here, there's a little bit of education, but this is kind of where it all started. We believe that people are living in chaos, so they have all these things over here. They're not prioritized. They don't really know what they need to do. So they live in this swirling chaos. That's just reality. They don't know how to prioritize things. So because they don't know, we want to call people to take action. Well, how do you take action? You take action by learning how to organize these things. It's not a perfect system, but it's in one location. What would it feel like if you could organize it? And then this is the key. We want to simplify it down to 5 things. You know, this is easy. And then I think what makes this planner different is that it doesn't do you any good to focus on any kind of action until you know your priorities. What is most important to you? We're going to help you prioritize those things. Is it love, friendships, excitement, faith, change, philanthropy? What are the things that you value in life? And what would happen if you took these things and began to filter your daily tasks through those things that would become most important? Let me look for one page in here. Most people haven't seen this. This is the flow chart of what we believe. A lot of people just get caught right here in the today. There's this fire drill. They wake up. They don't have any idea of what they're going to do. They don't know what's on their list. They don't know what's left. What we want to do is help you understand that the only thing that's going to matter in time management is knowing what your priorities are. It's great that you say that, but how do you do it? We've given you the tools to do it. Once you set your priorities, you have to know your purpose in life. Why have you been placed on this earth? What's most important to you? My purpose in life is learning and growing and sharing this information. When I'm working on these small master classes with a group where I can see them and they can see me, it just is amazing because I'm working in my purpose and I know these things are important. So you start with your priorities, you continue with your purpose, you set life goals, then you create a timeline of when you want to accomplish them. And then here at the 7-Minute Life, we use one of these books every 90 days. So here's 90 days, here's 90 days, here's 90 days, here's 90 days. And a lot of people ask me, Allison, why 90 days? Because the seasons are on 90 days. Right now we're in winter, then we'll go into spring, and then summer, and then fall. So everything changes. You can't just have one something. And one of the things I like about 90 days is that I get mulligans. I can do all of the things again. And it's only after that, when we have these goals set down, that we come down to today. You can't just walk in every day and say, here's my fire drill. I'm not going to do that. After you prioritize who you are, then there are tools to create your purpose in life, all in one place. We believe that purpose is what you do for others. Purpose is how you use your gifts and talents to change the world. And in my mind, love is the foundation of purpose. This is probably what makes the planner most important, is that people come in with some kind of random to-do list and they somehow get it done, but they still feel like a part of themselves is being robbed. They don't know why they should do it. They don't know, does this action, does this activity, and not every activity is going to move you into your purpose. I understand that. You know, I've got to cook hamburgers for tonight. That not necessarily into my purpose, but it's a task I need to do. But by knowing what my purpose is, I understand why I can spend my task, my time. This is a fairly new page. When I need to know what I should focus on, we had what is my highest activity? This is where we find that out. Here's my highest and best use of my time. I want to know what I love about my work. What are the things that you do that you love? How much of your time are you spending focusing on working on the things you love? What about your strengths? We always focus on our challenges. What happens if you focus on your strengths? And then we understand our highest value activity. And I also say to people, how do you know how you want to be rewarded? When you're working with a team of people, it's not going to be money. What could it be? Then it moves into mental clutter. What are the things that are driving you crazy? You don't have to figure these things out. It's, in this case, it's avoidance, procrastination, distraction, and indecision. What's causing clutter and stress in my life? This book is the place to put everything, on one location. Unfinished tasks, and then you transfer it into what you're going to do today, tomorrow, all those other things. This takes you out of a bad cow path, a familiar way of just using random pieces of paper, and puts you into a place where you have a single tool that you can capture. You don't have to go back and look at things. So Diane, you said that. Ann says, I look at the tons of things I have to get done at work, at home for my health, and 5 things before 11. Seems like I will never get anything done. When I took your information, it only took 90 days, and how it fits what I want to get done, the goals seem more doable. I think that's really true. I've got a couple of questions that are coming in, so let me see what those questions are. Kristen asks, are the planner pages customizable for headings? Can you customize the headings? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Is the planner customizable for headings? I'd love to have that done. Kristen, if you can send a little more information about that, I'd love that. The planner is available in a lot of formats, and it's getting more and more powerful as we go along. I can see that I have mascara on my face. Well, any other questions? Because this is a live platform, I just decided that people need to know more about the 7-minute life, why 7 minutes, what's important, and then go on into our educational pieces. The educational pieces take place Tuesdays at 11 a.m. They're always on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. You get the planner on Amazon. Yes, let me share my screen again. You get the planner on Amazon by going to the 7-minute life daily planner, or go to amazon.com, type in the 7-minute life daily planner, and it will show you exactly where it is, and they'll ship it to you. Are there any other questions? Well, I really hope everyone will go out and get their planner. It's not a humongous investment. If you go to Amazon, I'm not exactly sure what their price is, but I know it's less than going through Wendy's with a family. And, just try it, then go to our YouTube videos. I'm not sure I can go to YouTube if let me see if I can. Going to YouTube. I'm not sure if I can while I'm on streaming live. I don't think I can. I better not try to go there. But if you go to our YouTube channel, we have over 170,000 views because people want to understand. They want to know how to make their life better. So just go to Google, type in YouTube, and then type in the 7-minute life, and you'll find our YouTube channel. That's where you can find out about how do you do your priorities, how do you set your purpose, how do you look at your highest and best. All of those things are on YouTube. And if you're watching live from YouTube, I want to welcome you. It's amazing how technology works. We'll be also putting these out on Facebook once I can figure out how to do that. So any other questions that you might have for me? Diane, I know that I'm going to see you as soon as this is over. So Diane's going to be, filming your first YouTube video, and looking forward to the webinar tomorrow. I am too. It's all about actions. It's all about actions. Please tell your friends about these things. Help us grow the community. I've just opened a Facebook group that's going to be going live where you can say, yes, I wrote down my 5 before 11. I took my 7 minutes. Ann Hampton on Amazon, it's $24.95. Really? Is that what they're selling for, or is that the retail price? I think that's the retail price. Can someone look? And is that what they're selling it for? Yes, no? I'm not sure. I'm going to go to Amazon too. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to Amazon. I know the retail price is that, the 7 minute live daily planner. Spiral bound. Wow, they've raised the price on that. Cool. Cool. So now, yes, you can see it. It is selling at retail. I guess that's a good thing. Thanks, Ann. That's what we sell it for too. So I guess that's good. The planner has begun to sell a lot. We've really grown our business in all of that. Jim, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting that in. Anything else? Well, Diane, hold tight. Call me as soon as this is over. I look forward to seeing you. We'll be available for tomorrow's webinar. John will be there. I'll be there. Invite people to come to these. We'll probably have them every 2 weeks. We'll also look at what do you do in those 7 minutes. I am delighted to have been here. I hope you will go get your planner, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.